And welcome back to another edition of I Haven't Played That in Forever by One Up Games KS. So here's the deal. If you've never actually watched one of my I Haven't Played in Forever games, basically what it is, it's a game that I played when I was younger that I haven't played in forever. Pretty basic. I plan on doing one or two of these a month when I actually have time to actually get them done. Obviously, you know, work full time, have a family, have a kid, all those things. So, if this is the first time you've actually watched one, this is what's going to happen. I am running these on an emulator. I know there's going to be some purist fanboys that are going to kill me for this. I am running these games on an emulator for one of two reasons. Number one, a lot of these games that I'm going to play are retro based. They did not have the video output that really gives good video for me to record on. Now, yes, I know that there are mods you can do RGBs, Ultra HDMIs, all of that stuff. However, those are very expensive. And for me, at this particular second, this is more of a hobby for my YouTube stuff, my Facebook stuff, and things like that. This is not generating me income at all. So, because of that, I am emulating. Because I want to give the best quality possible. The second side of that is I find it very easy to get the software to do this. And by software, you guys know what I'm talking about. I will say that the gray area that comes along with the emulation side, I've been emulating for a long time. But I am one of the probably the few out there that actually does stick to the guideline of if you actually own a copy, you can emulate that copy. I have a very massive game library, physical game library, hundreds and hundreds of games. So I don't necessarily feel bad about this. Now, we can obviously get into a big flame war about this and everything like that, but the truth of the matter is that I do own this copy. I don't feel bad about it, so we're just going to go with that. The other side to the games I haven't played in forever series is there's going to be two versions of this. There's going to be the unedited version, which you are listening to right now, and then there's going to be the edited version, which obviously I'm going to remove any dead time and silence and, maybe tweak the audio levels, things like that. This is pretty much a rough cut, so you get what you get with this. Am I going to beat these games? Probably not. Probably because I know you guys probably don't want to sit here and listen to me talk through a whole playthrough. It's, if you want to do that, there's tons of people on YouTube that can do it. But I have limited time to do these. So, my initial goal is to play through as far as I can in 30 minutes on the unedited. And then when I go back to edit it, try to cut them down to 10, 12 minutes so it, is more informative, things like that. And that's just what we're going to do. So we're going to play TMNT, the Hyperstone Heist. I played this very little as a kid. This is one of the few TMNT games that actually flew under the radar with me. I was a huge TMNT fan growing up. And for whatever reason, even though I owned a Genesis, this game just never really came up. None of my friends had it, just never really got played. Of course, we all played Turtles in Time. I remember literally playing Turtles in Time in the arcade when I was 12 years old. So it's kind of weird. I haven't looked up anything as far as Wikipedia on this to see why they never released Turtles in Time on the Genesis. But, who knows? I've played maybe it's hard to remember, maybe 10, 15 minutes of this game. That's literally how little I've ever played it. So, we're going to start. And for those wondering, I am actually using a Genesis 6-button controller to play this. That is one of the things. I am emulating, but I am using original controllers. So, bring back the flame a little bit. So I don't really remember the story to this, but from basic, I mean, it's not really that hard to figure out. Shredder, for whatever reason, steals the Statue of Liberty. You know, it's a Turtles game. You know, it's a brawler. So we're gonna get into this. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but does everyone actually love Leo the most? What? Because I mean, I've played even in the arcades. I remember playing the actual arcade game and then Turtles in Time, and you know, even on the home versions, everyone wanted to be Leo. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily like a running thing with everyone, but all of my friends and everyone I ever played with in the arcades wanted to be Leo. Is it because of the two swords? Because, I mean, that's cool and everything. I mean, maybe it harkens back to that, you know, 80s and early 90s kid mentality where swords are freaking awesome, but I don't know. It's just kind of odd. You know, one of those random things that I'm probably going to talk about while I play this game. Real quick, the first thing that I notice when I play this game is I know most people might not notice small things like this, but I'm one of those guys that remembers a lot of things about previous games. The one thing that it just kind of reminds me of, and it's hard to say because I haven't played the actual arcade version in a while, the way that the enemies spawn in this game directly reminds me of the arcade port on the NES. Something else too is that as far as challenge, the initial I'm going to say the initial challenge, just defeating the regular Foot Clan members, is not all that great. And granted, I haven't messed with the options. I don't even know if there's a difficulty level. I don't really see how they could make a difficulty level on a game like this, but, you know, there might be. Maybe less lives or something, or more damage. I don't know. But anyway, the challenge is just not all that great. And I'm not saying that to toot my own horn, because honestly it's a 16-bit brawler and I'm literally just mashing buttons at this point. You know, it's there. It's not super hard. You know, and I go back to games that are, you know, of the same era, like the Peacekeepers, where if you guys have never played that game, by the way, you guys need to play that game. It's a US port of a Japanese series, and you lose some of the stuff in it because of that, you know, the localization, and then just some weird design choices, like they cut out the background music of all the stages, which just doesn't make any damn sense to me. But it's a really good game, and it's got a really decent difficulty level. It's not cheap. It's just hard. It's not like Hagan, where you have like a bajillion and a half different combos you can pull off and stuff like that, where it just makes it insanely difficult because you have to know what to do when. Peacekeepers is actually a really good game. But anyway, that's not what we're playing right now. I'll probably do a video on that later, because I think more people definitely need to know about that game. But one thing that, going back to the remembering things in different, in older games, in the arcade game and the NES port, everyone knows that you get to the one level where you fight Bebop and Rocksteady at the same time, at least in the arcade version. The car drives out. So, you know, instinctively, and there's something else, they come up with the sewer lid. That is something I just realized. The graffiti on the wall right there says U.S. jail. wonder if that's in reference to anything. But anyway, the car comes out, you know, and just like it does there, it does the same thing. The sewer lids, same thing. The fire hydrant, same thing. You know, it's almost a running theme between the ports. And it's just kind of interesting to me how much, and it's clear that they don't recycle this stuff, because, I mean, obviously, from the arcade port to the NES port to this, there's no way they can do that. But, you know, it's just interesting, the fact that they reuse so many of the small, tiny things. And see, that's what's weird. You play a game like this, and you realize that, you know, they do some of those things. And for people who have played the entire series, you know, on Super NES, NES, arcade, you know, the whole thing, it's cool. And you remember that, you know, Konami made the vast majority of these games. And that's the coolest thing about it, is that when one developer makes all of the games, you just know that there are certain things that are going to be there. Yeah, that's something that's been lost over the years with the newer stuff. You get games that just lose a lot of their original soul. Yeah, I just said soul when it comes to a video game, and those of you who have played games as long as I have know exactly what I'm talking about, but, you know, it's just different. You know, it'd be like trying to play Super Mario 3 and changing the color of the turtles or something like that. You know, like something that doesn't affect the game at all one way or another. But because it's different, it changes your perspective. And it changes the outlook you have on the game. Even in the smallest amount. I know I'm not the only person that does that. I mean, I typically don't like playing hacks on emulators, simply because the games that I typically will play on an emulator, I love, you know, and I love them because they're a good game in the form that they're already in. I don't necessarily like to play different games like that. Now, there are exceptions. In 64 games, you know, you've got your No Mercy hacks and things like that, which are awesome. But, you know, obviously, I don't want to play character hacks of Mario games or anything like that. It just doesn't interest me. Okay, so this is basically, if I remember right, where I got before I quit. You know, I don't know how long ago it was when I played this the first time. Got to Leatherhead. I think it's Leatherhead, right? I would say that's a pretty easy boss. I mean, it's not really that hard. This game kind of actually harkens back to the arcade days. So, because of, you know, limited time in the arcade and everything like that, there had to be a lot of variety in the arcade brawlers like this. So, I mean, you couldn't just have the same type of backgrounds and stages and stuff like that all the time. You had to have some variety in it. And, you know, I guess in a way, I kind of have to wonder why they did some of the things that they did. You know, like, Turtles in Time, obviously, you could have some weird stages and everything because it's a time travel storyline. Okay, that makes perfect sense. But like in a game like this, okay, so he stole the Statue of Liberty. All right, so what's the first thing you would think? You go find the Statue of Liberty. Okay, so you uh, go to the Technodrome or something like that, or you go to a secret lair. But why is there a ghostly pirate ship? You know, it's almost like they just straight ripped it off from Turtles in Time. I mean, obviously there's the pirate ship in Turtles in Time, and that's a fun level. That's a great level. I love that level. But I mean, it just seems kind of like you pull that from that game and you put it in here, and it's like, why? What's the context? And you know, I'm sure the 12-year-old me wouldn't have given a shit what the context was, but you know, 34-year-old me is like, why the hell would they do that? You know, but I've been playing games like The Last of Us and you know stuff like that for years, so obviously the maturity level that my game playing has changed. And that is one of the better things about retro games is that they're much better if you go in with a this is not going to make sense attitude and it's a pick up and play game. You know, I can't pick up and play, you know, MLB The Show 2018. I can't pick that up and play it, you know, because every game I play on that is going to take about an hour. I can play, you know, Tetris, or I can play this. I can play this for, you know, 20, 30 minutes and get through half the game practically. But I don't have to think about it. It's not complicated. And I'm sure that once again that harkens back to the days of, you know, not having to worry about things as a kid. But, you know, I digress. I hate stuff like that, where you have no clue that it's coming because there's no visual indicator that says there's something there. They did that in the arcade game too. I'm sure they did something like that in Turtles in Time. I can't really remember where exactly. But in the original arcade game, when you get to the Technodrome and they have those Freon or helium containers that pop up and freeze you, I hated those sons of bitches. Because, I mean, there was nothing to tell you where they were going to come up. You know, at least give me a chance. And I could understand it and almost, not necessarily forgive it, but I could at least understand it in the arcade version, because all arcade games with an actual cabinet are money grabs. That's what they are. That's what they're meant to be. I mean, if that were the case, I could beat the original arcade game, TMNT. I could beat it without dying. Because you know why? I can beat it without losing a single life on the NES. But can I do that in the arcade? Nope. No way in hell. And I've gone through, you know, what, 4 or 5 stages of this and just now lost my first life. So that goes back to the challenge of this. The challenge is not super difficult. You know, I guess you could say the same thing about most of the TMNT games, because they're marketed more towards a youth and younger audience, but I would like to see at least maybe one decent TMNT game that actually has some challenge to it. And I know that probably won't happen, but I'd like to see it. You know, I can hope. Anything is possible. Here's something else too that I'm noticing now. Since I've never actually gotten to this level, I go from a city street, or from a sewer to a city street to another sewer to a ocean river type thing to a pirate ship, and then I guess a cave. Why am I in a cave? No idea. Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you why I'm in a cave right now. But I am in a cave. So... But it sounds like I'm going dead. It's not really. I've been having some throat issues over the last few days, so I'm trying to clear my throat and not sound like I'm about to die. By the way, this is going to sound really stupid, but why, if they're supposed to be ninjas, why are they in brightly colored outfits? You know, I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but, you know, I mean, you look at any military in the world, and they're all wearing camo, you know? You know, you don't have, like, you don't have super bright, colorful stuff. Get the pizza, get the pizza, get the pizza. Alright, there we go. Yeah, see. Most brawlers like this, once you get the love, once you actually get the pattern down, most bosses or even sub-bosses are pretty easy. Rocksteady looks like he's pretty much the same as Leatherhead. Attack and get the hell out of the way. Yeah, same thing. Shredder's hideout. Alright. By the way, I have completely forgotten what these damn things are called. I know what the Mausers are. These are not Mausers. I forgot what these are called. And if you guys remember what this is called, please leave a comment down below, because number one, I'm too lazy to go look it up, probably. I'll forget by the time I remember. Ever happened to you? Happens to me all the time. But I'm sure that like, the second someone tells me, I'm just going to be like, oh, shit, I totally remember that now. And since you guys are actually just watching this and you're not actually seeing, if any of you guys have ever played this before, you'll notice that I'm not really using the swing attack or the double attack all that much. And you know, first thing you do when you play a brawler is you realize very quickly that if you have a special attack, it usually takes your life. So maybe it's just my playstyle, but when I play a brawler, I learn how to hit combos and how to move around and how to jump and how to avoid probably before anything else, because I know that if I can do that, I can get around everything else. That's actually why I can beat the NES version of the arcade game without dying. And I'm not talking about a continue, I'm talking about losing a life. Simply because the biggest thing you need to understand on how to master that particular version of that game is learn how to do the jump kick. You learn how to do the jump kick, you will be able to destroy that game. And you almost kind of have to wonder, some of this stuff looks like, obviously that throw looks like it's directly lifted from the Super NES Turtles in Time. You can't tell me that they redesigned the entire graphic for just that. And the bad thing about it is I'm not entirely sure which one came out first, if it was Turtles in Time or the Hyperstone Heist. So I'll have to look that up, but hell, for all I know, it could have been the other way around. They could have used, you know, Hyperstone Heist graphics for the Super NES version. It's, you know, a lot of games do that when they're cross-platform, if they're going to reuse some of the same stuff. If you look up the history of Street Fighter 2, the reason they had so many damn editions is because of licensing. You know, there was no reason to have a Street Fighter 2 Tournament Edition on the Genesis and have Championship or Champion Edition on Super NES. It's the same damn game. Like, what is the difference? This is one thing right here. Okay, so if you've ever played the NES version of the arcade game, you'll know that this is a level in the game. If you look at it hard enough, this is a level in the game. Is it the arcade game, or is it Turtles or is it Turtles 3? Man, I don't remember now. I want to say it's the arcade game. Now that I'm thinking about it. But either way, this was in an NES version of the Turtles game. This level, with the same exact pitfalls, with the same exact, you can kick or you can hit the candles, you can make sure to avoid these spikes. The backgrounds look very similar. I mean, obviously, the color difference is there because of the generation gap, but you know, it's just interesting to watch and to look at some of this stuff and see. Look, I'm caught in a trap here. This is the one annoying spot so far in this game. Is that they space these and they put those types of enemies. So yeah, the difficulty right here is not super hard. It's more annoying than hard. That's basically what that comes down to. Graphically, though, and I'm going to say this, I didn't play a crap ton of Genesis games growing up. I was more of a Nintendo guy. You know, and that's fine. You know, I mean, obviously, it wasn't by choice. You know, it was more of a, that's what we had, you know. But graphically, you know, the colors on this are very pretty. The contrast between your character, your turtle, and everything else is really great. And honestly, it's very pretty to look at. Now, is it a Gunstar Heroes? No. Is it a Metal Slug? Absolutely not. But just from the gameplay color perspective, if I was 12 years old, I'd want to play this game. You know? Even today, if I showed this to a TMNT fan today, you know, a 9 or 10-year-old TMNT fan, even though the series has been bastardized I don't know how many times at this point, they would still understand it and they would still want to play it. I mean, that's the best thing you can do for retro games. All right. So let's see if he has the same hit pattern as everyone else. He's a little harder to get to simply because he jumps around, but and I'm assuming anyway that if I can beat him, the foot guys will disappear. So that is my main objective here. Damn it. I'm trying to get out of here without losing that extra life. Yes. The Gauntlet. Probably going over the 30-minute limit here, but I'm going to keep playing simply because I've never actually gotten this far in this game. So we're going to keep going. I might edit this down, obviously, but this is the raw version, so we're going to leave this up anyway. Got to the point where I'm just not even going to try for those. Leatherhead. Again. Shit. Shit. Cool. And I got an extra life. Alright. And I gotta beat Rocksteady again. It's a good thing I got that extra life. And now he's got grenades. Maybe he had grenades the first time, I don't know. Okay, that's kind of cheap. Caught him too. Ah, Jesus Christ. If I lose a continue, it's going to be here, and I can already tell. Yeah, I'm not gonna... Yep, there it is. Well, I am going to keep with this. So if you guys want to stay around, great. I'm going to keep recording. And now I got to go through all this crap again. I was going to avoid these guys, since I'm not getting anything out of them at this point. There's one thing you got to do. You just got to range. Otherwise, he'll get you with that crawl. And here comes Rocksteady. And like I said before, the challenge is not exactly hard. At least on most of these. I got 2 lives left. I should be able to get through Tattoo at least. Yeah, see. Shit. Yeah, see. Yeah, I'm toast. I don't have enough energy left to pull this off, I don't think. Nope. We're gonna try this one more time. And I don't necessarily not want to use a save state, but it does kind of take away from it. There are certain times when a save state is immensely helpful. Turbo Tunnel in Battletoads is definitely one of those times. But in a game like this, where you just have to, you know, get better at it, it's not exactly something you want to use all the time. And like I said, the overall challenge of this game is not hard. There are certain aspects of the game that are difficult. But so far, and granted I haven't gotten to Shredder, but so far, it's not overly difficult. Shit. Fuck! Okay, got 2 lives left. I'm gonna see if I can pull it off. See, the best thing that you can do with Tatsu is basically get behind him. Because if you get behind him, you'll hit him with that kick. And he can't hit you with the darts. Yeah, I'll probably pull this off this time, just by gauging how much life I have left. And he's almost done. Yeah, okay, cool. So, I beat all 3 bosses so far. Baxter Stockman! Yeah, see, this is the stuff that's annoying. Is that I have literally 2 bars of health left, and I don't think, yeah, I can't pull it off. Well, I think that's all I'm gonna go. We're pretty much at the limit here. So, if you enjoyed this video, then feel free to subscribe, like, thumbs up, comment, anything and all of the above. Like I said, I do plan on doing 1 or 2 of these a month. So yeah, hit us up, like us, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next time around.